Hey everybody, it's me again. Alright, so we're going to cover different kinds of bolt actions. Alright, I have the Mauser action, I have the Nagant action, and then I have the Swiss. One moment here, let me go to my notes. Sorry about that. I have the Swiss 1931 straight pull bolt action rifle. But first, let's break down the Mauser action. So at first, I'm going to pull up, yeah, all right, we're gonna go with here. And then, actually, we're gonna go with cutaway, everybody. I recently discovered that I could just do this, and it explains a lot. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna slap a new stripper clip of 5 rounds into the bolt assembly, and we're gonna slow this down, and we're gonna run through a few shots of the weapon. So if we go to X-ray and I concentrate on the trigger assembly, we see that the Mauser action works similar to a sear operated striker fire, very similar to a Glock action, but zoom it back probably another 100 and something years. All right, so when we fire it, we're going to see that the trigger assembly drops down out of the way, taking its sweet time, which thus allows that firing pin to move forward and strike that primer, thus firing that round. All right, let me fix the X-ray settings so we can kind of see the inside of the bolt. All right, so when we swing over this way, we notice that it drops down, allows that firing pin to jolt forward and hit that primer. I didn't hit unload, but okay. So when the operator lifts that charging handle and brings that weapon to the rear, right now he is doing extracting and ejecting, all right, similar to the previous videos where we talked about the cycle of operation. But when he lifted it, it unlocked it on that upward motion. All right, now he's pushing it forward to chamber that, and we see that the weapon is cock on close. All right, so while he was pushing that charging handle and bolt assembly forward, that little right here, let me see if I can click it. All right, I can't, but that sear notch grabs that sear and it preps that weapon to prepare and get ready to fire that next round. All right, now let's go towards the front a little bit here. Let me rotate it so you guys can see the actions of those bolt lugs. All right, now when we fire, it's releasing that striker. Pretty soon we watch that firing pin jolt forward, hit that primer, and ignite that round. All right, now when the operator lifts that charging handle, let me speed this up just a wee bit, lifts that up, we notice that those locking lugs get out of the way. That extractor's still holding on to it. And about now is when that ejector starts to take place and fling that bad boy. There we go. And then that forward motion, watch this. So that extractor slides up, fits, and pushes onto the head of that round. All right, and it's going to swing up and it's going to lock those lugs. All right, then we're going to go over here, and I just want to show you guys how the magazine on here is actually attached. It's pretty much just a normal basic spongy flat piece of steel, spring steel, and it's folded and creased to help prevent creaking and breaking. And it literally slides on to 2 little knots at the bottom of the magazine. Yeah, thought that was interesting. And now we're going to move to the Mosin-Nagant. See you guys there. Hey everybody. Alright, so in front of us we got the old faithful, the Mosin-Nagant, that probably everyone in the world has buried somewhere in the back of their closet or in their backyard. Anyway, so concentration points that I want you guys to look at is when I bring it over to the X-ray, there's going to be a sear notch about right here, and then on the opposing side, this small piece that looks kind of wonky out over here this small thin strip of metal. All right, those two, I'm going to explain what they are when we go into the x-ray. Just let me swing the camera around a little bit. All right, so we're going to go to x-ray. Let's give a little bit more stuff. All right, that's perfect. And then we're going to slow it down for everybody because even I don't have super eagle vision. All right, so we're going to fire a couple of rounds and we're going to look at how that firing pin hits that primer. All right, so trigger gets pulled, applies leverage to this trigger spring or the sear spring, drops that out of the way, thus freeing up that bolt to take that firing pin forward. All right, let me speed this up a wee bit for everybody. All right, now we're gonna move to the front of the weapon. All right, we're gonna look at this bolt right here. All right, now we're gonna reload faster. Take that stripper clip, smack the stripper clip in. All right, now we're gonna go back to slow motion. Now, when it fires, releases it, firing pin goes forward, hits that primer, ignites that round. Now, when the operator manually lifts up that bolt, it's gonna ride over that notch that we spoke of earlier. And that's also going to unlock these two bolt lugs right here, all right? Unlocked, you're gonna pull that back, watch that little rod. There's that little piece that sits right there. Yep, that's your ejector, all right? Your ejector, and the bolt operates similarly to the extractor because the bolt cylinder has this cutout right here that fits that ejector, all right? So for some reason, it's substituting that common extractor arm or those extractor claws that we're gonna see in other weapons. But let's focus on the Mauser, how it had its extractor attached to the bolt instead of having a gap inside the bolt for the ejector to fit through, all right? Now, let's go a little bit more x-ray into seeing how that firing pin gets propelled forward. All right, everybody? Boop. All right, there we go. Let's go to the bolt side, or the bolt handle side. All right. Now, it's going to fire, release that space, thus allowing that firing pin to jolt forward. All right. Now, I'm going to pop out of x-ray mode for everybody. All right, and we're going to flip this weapon on safe because very interesting safety mechanism. Now you manually grab the rear of the bolt and then you rotate it out of the way and you have it move forward into this opposing cut on the top portion of that bolt. All right, now if we peek inside the x-ray, let me get a little bit more x-ray on there for you. All right, it pulls that firing pin out of the way so it's not anywhere towards the head of that round. All right, so it's physically separating them, just pulling them out so that way any nonsense will allow that weapon to negligently discharge. All right, let's move over to the Swedish 1981. All right, see you guys there. All right, we are back and we are running through the Model 1931, everybody. All right, so type of bolt action rifle, it is straight pull. So with the Mauser and the Mosin-Nagant, weapons like the Lebel, the Arasaka, the Springfield, they are rotating bolt action weapons. So to unlock those locking lugs, you manually have to grab that charging handle, rotate it 90 degrees, and then force rearward with the action. You'll see when we move forward, the process of charging the Model 1931 is instead of having to do the lift up, you're going to grasp that T-shaped charging handle and you're going to run it rearwards and then forwards. The theory behind this is it's a lot less cumbersome for the shooter in this case, to where he has a lot less time to reacquire his sights and ready to get that weapon back in the fight. So they opted in for the straight pull. Well, let's go on with the insides and see how it differs. All right. So before we go into the X-ray, you're going to see that it loads from a detachable magazine, and which is rather uncommon with the previous two that were fed with stripper clips. All right. This is not a set in the stone, because I'm pretty sure if we poke around, you will see many options of a Mauser action being magazine fed and a Nagant action being magazine fed. But the standard design of the weapon were made to have internal magazines instead of detachable magazines. All right. So let's go over to the slow motion, actually. All right. Let's fire a few, watch how this weapon processes in its normal time of action, and then we're going to go into slow motion and an X-ray, and then we're going to start playing with the little bits and bobs. All right, everybody? So you fire, straight retract. No upward motion, no downward motion. You ain't pumping it. You're just pulling straight and you're pushing. All right? All right. Now, I'm going to go through this magazine so then we can see that reloading activity. All right. Drop the magazine, push it forward, charge the weapon. All right. Now let's go into the X-ray. All right. This should be good. All right. So let me swing back around. All right. This is good. All right. And then we're going to put slow motion on. We're going to pump that up to 50 so we can watch how the firing mechanism is operated. Let me get this because the charging handle is in a weird spot. Alright, so with the pull of the trigger, it drops, allowing that firing pin to release that spring pressure and allow it to move forward. You're going to notice that a similar design feature to how certain striker fire weapons may be fired, because it has a spring put at tension and it's dropping a sear mechanism that directly corresponds with the movement of that firing pin. All right, we're going to retract this. We're going to see that the entire cocking action is prepping at this time. All right, it's getting ready to cock. All right, so if we move forward, we're going to see how the firing pin is attached to the rest of the bolt. When it moves forward, don't worry, we're going to work on the extractor and the ejector in a little bit further into this section. All right, so we're going to see how it moves forward and then pushes up, giving enough room for that firing pin spring to have enough tension to dent that primer. All right, now we're going to rotate into the upward, more forward portion of the chamber and the action. All right, we're going to fire 1 or 2 rounds here. The firing pin drops. Soon, boom, allows that to go forward, denting the primer. All right, now we have our extractor right here. See how that forward motion allowed that extractor to grab that round, and then I'm the one that messed up. All right, and then we're going to go to retracting. You see how the portion of the charging handle attaches to the firing pin to force it back to compress the spring. There we go. All right, it moves back. Wait for it to eject. All right, and we're going to go over to the other side, everybody. All right, so similar to how the Nagant's ejector works, there is a separation, or not a separation, there is a gap or cavern that allows that ejector to slide through the bolt. All right, let me readjust. So if we look at the lower portion of it, we would notice that the ejector lines up with that gap in the bolt. All right, so when we fire, firing pin drops, striker moves forward, firing pin strikes that primer. We know this process. Boom. All right, now we can go into extract. Speed this up a little bit, everybody. Boom. All right, now watch that rearward portion of that bolt move forward. All right, see how it lines up, gives it enough room, moves forward, flings that round out. All right, and then that forward motion. All right, I'm gonna let it complete the cycle. Awesome, cool, bamses. All right, let's get a good little pretty look at this weapon. All right. So, I hope you guys enjoyed me explaining different kinds of bolt action designs and ideas that are still being utilized today with combat hunting or military style sniper rifles. All right. Hope you guys have a nice day. Please like, favorite, and subscribe, and goodbye.
Welcome to Dan Doc's channel. Oh yeah, welcome to Dan Doc's channel.